Hello, my name is Eugenia, and I am so happy that you have decided to join me in this meditation. Every week I host a call for my breath family around the world. We like to start with a short meditation. Many of them have asked me if I could share the meditation so they could do it through the rest of the week. So here it is, available for anybody that wants to connect deeper with their breath and meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable and relaxed position for yourself. I also invite you to explore a little bit more about the principles of transformational breath, which are fundamental for these meditations. You can follow the link below to have a guided exercise to learn these basic principles. Get comfortable and let's get started. Betsy, can you hear me? Okay. Very good. I invite you to find a comfortable position. Making sure that your body is relaxed and supported. Allowing your breath to flow freely and softly. Making sure that the rhythm of your breath is effortless, connected. Allowing you to feel the true nature of the universe. Always flowing, transforming. Feel within your body deeply how all around you everything is alive, growing. This opens your awareness to the absolute truth that nothing is permanent, static. Within that truth, you feel deeper. willingness to let go of the illusion of possession and permanence. So that you can be fully present with the moment now. Connecting to the purest reality. This breath, this moment. We are all simply one instant, connected to everything through our breath. And that also means that we are infinite. When we let go, we become the now and the forever. Feel your breath expanding with this truth, allowing your mind to be free. Feel your physical body grounding itself deeper, more alive with this awareness, firmly planted and yet a lot lighter. Feel your heart expanding, filling itself with the light of love. For when we understand this truth, it allows us to live fully in the present and invites us to be a part of the whole. Our heart can fully shine. Feeling your connected breath, nurturing you and expanding you. I invite you to softly start to come back, keeping in your awareness this expanded sensation and connection. Move your body, stretching softly. Move your neck. Take a deep breath and relax your whole body on that exhale. Big smile on your face. Good morning, good afternoon, my beloveds. We are ready to continue with our days, and you are free to open your microphones now so that we can share with each other. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, Samantha. And then
I have a toning question too.
Mm-hmm.
I like toning the beej mantras in the body. So that's lum, bum, well, different sounds, but they're all sounds in the different chakras. And is that okay to do that with clients? I do that for myself.
Do it for yourself. I'm going to say no with clients because we try to keep our technique as neutral as possible. And a mantra has ideological connotation. It's probably going to be okay for you and your clients because if they're coming to you, it's because they're connected to, your frequency, your belief systems, and everything else. The thing is, when we start to introduce things that are not necessarily from our technique, if we keep doing those things, then Judy had to make a decision many years ago. Actually, a couple. First of all, is the technique complete or is it open-ended? And she decided it's open-ended. So she's open to guidance, right? So new things can keep coming in, which they do. Every once in a while, some big pieces come and continuously little pieces come. That's how the throat work came. That's how the body mapping came. That's how sound came. That's, many things keep popping into our awareness and our training because you decided the training was open-ended. Some other breathwork schools did not decide that, and they are kind of stuck in their evolution. Then at one point, she had to decide what is the guideline, for this, because some other breathwork schools say, yes, you can do everything and everything goes. And then if you get a session with 20 different facilitators of this breathwork school, you will get 20 different kinds of facilitation. There's no unity, there's no cohesion, right? So she decided we have a system, it is structured, and this is what we do. And that's why you're not allowed to practice other breathwork school techniques in your sessions because we want to keep it as it is. So if you get a transformational breath session here and the Netherlands and in the US and in China, you get the same thing. There's consistency on the technique. So if you start toning with the mantras and then another person starts toning with maracas and another person starts toning with singing bowls and another person starts toning with drums, they're all great. Sound is powerful. But now, which one is transformational breath?
Okay.
And our way of toning is we do one clear, continuous sound. So for your self sessions, do whatever you want. And now if you really want to do that with your clients, because your intuition is saying this is what's going to take care of everything for them, then you need to address it. So you will say, you know what, during your session, I really felt that it would be helpful for me to guide you to tone through your chakras with this mantra. And you explain to them where this mantra came from, which school, the meaning of it, and you get their permission. So if they say yes, the next session you can do it. Because let's be very clear, we have been given permission to do transformational breath, but we did not get permission to use Hindu mantra with them. And it might not be okay with them, or to do Reiki, or to do drumming, you know? So if we're going to use something else that we know, if we get permission and they're clear that this is not part of the technique, then you can go ahead and do it. So we're not completely limiting you and your expression and your previous knowledge, but we want to have clear boundaries, and that makes it very professional, respectful of the rights of the client, and it keeps the technique clear. I can't remember the content, but yeah, it creates an emotional shift through a mental process, but it looks like it's mental, but it's not. It's an emotional process. Yeah, I find it so, so helpful. The work really has helped me a lot. And I struggled with it at the beginning. I liked it, you know, I read the book and I was so motivated, but it was hard for me to get there. But I was so committed to be a facilitator, and I was gonna staff my first seminar. I was like, I have to break this down. So I kept, you know, practicing it until one day I had that big change. I don't know if I shared that with you, with my stepmom. Did I share that story with you guys? No? You want a story time? Story time. Okay. So my dad has been married 4 times, and I've had all kinds of stepmoms. The current wife, it's a very lovely person. She's very generous, very caring, but she's complicated in her personal life, and we are her personal life. And we had a very complicated relationship because when she married my dad, we were coming out of a very abusive stepmom relationship. And there was a 6-month period between marriages. So here we are coming out of a almost 7 years of physical and mental abuse. And then 6 months later, there's a new stepmom. So she was very, very young. She's 17 years younger than my dad. So our relationship was like doomed from the beginning, you know, she had no chance. We had no chance in it. And of course, she has her own history. So the relationship has been strained, you know, in different levels through many parts of our, they've been married a long time. And through these periods of life, it's like very complicated. And what we were at a stage where we got into an argument with her, which, you know, tended to escalate, and it's nobody's fault. Like, you know, it was like a complicated dynamic, but she's a very intense person when she's mad. So it escalated to the point where we were not allowed to come into my father's house. And my dad, I love him. He's my best friend. We have a very close relationship, and I was deeply offended by that. So by now, I have been doing sheets of the work with her like nonstop. I'm almost doing one every day or every week. I'm like, I have so many thoughts around her, you know. When they say judge your neighbor, of course she was the first one to come. So I'm committed to this process, and I'm doing sheets and sheets and sheets of the work, right? With her, different things, different situations. I have plenty of wood to put into that fire. Like there's no shortage of judgments to her. So finally, I'm doing the work around this, and I'm so pissed off at this because part of my emotional history is not having a home. And even though my dad's home has never felt like my home, there's like my aunt's home who feels like my home, a part of me feels really, really entitled to this physical space as my home. And early on in their marriage, we had an argument and she slapped me. And because I was coming out of the previous abusive relationship, my sister and I left the house, and I was 15. I walked with whatever I was wearing and no shoes. And that was the first time I left my home. Like that's when I moved out of my house. I was 15, she was 16, and that was that. So there was like a very strong emotional relationship to the house, you know, the house of my dad and me having to walk out. So we were not living in this house, but I feel like a resentment towards the physical space, right? And then, of course, everybody who knows me knows how much I love my dad. And then everybody's validating my thought that I should be allowed into my father's house because
it's my house, it's my dad, and it's my house, therefore, right? So I'm so mad at this. So I'm doing the work around it, and I'm doing the turnarounds. And as I'm working through this, all of a sudden I realize, like, the absurdity of my thoughts, and I'm writing down, she should respect me and my space and my rights, thoughts like this. And then all of a sudden I do the turnaround, and it's like, I should respect her and her space and her rights. And it's like, all of a sudden it hits me, that is not my house, but it is actually her house. Like, it had never occurred to me that that is actually the house where she lives in, and that she should feel respected. And like all of a sudden my mind is like, fire is coming out of it, like it's such a foreign thought that it had never occurred to me that I am the one who's not respecting her boundaries and her rights. And honestly, I can see my dad wherever, but it's like this, I want to come into this house and I want to feel that it's my space, So I had all these thoughts, but in that moment, and I had done so many sheets with her, and I had done so many turnarounds, and they were all truth, like I could relate to all of them. But in this moment, it's like my heart just opened, and I felt such understanding and compassion for her that I had never felt before. And I started to see her own journey into this family and into being her own person and having this relationship. And she and my dad have a very complicated relationship. Like, it's not a relationship I would like. But, and I also, all this time, I've been trying to, defend my dad and, claim his rights. So there's like a lot of things that I'm trying to get in the middle of this marriage, of this life, of this house. It's like, oh my God, all of a sudden I saw myself from the other side. That was not a pretty sight. It was not a pretty sight. And so I just like really continued to work with her. But that was a sheet that really, really showed me how the work is really, truly an emotional process, because the thoughts were there. I will still forever want to come into my dad's house, but there was no judgment and no expectations from her to let me do that, you know? And I just like let go of that, and I just wanted to be with my dad, and I started to create other spaces. And the next time I saw her, because we're, very polite, so we will always like greet each other with, in Mexico we greet with a kiss on the cheek and sometimes with a hug. And I hugged her, and I really hugged her. There was nothing in my heart but love for her. And I could feel her body like just being tense and then like relaxing into my arms. And it was such a special moment. And the relationship actually changed a lot. Like, she's still her and she does her things, and they're not fun. But for many years we started to build into a relationship, and we came back, we were able to, because I was also mad, it was not just me, it was my sister and my nieces. None of us were allowed into the house. So we came back to the house, we started to spend more family time together, we built a great relationship after that. She never changed. She kept doing things that in my understanding were not ideal, but we didn't have that anger, that emotional conflict looming over us. And a couple of years ago, she did something really, really um, emotionally violent towards my sister and myself. And she did it to my sister, like, you can do whatever you want to me, but do not touch my sister. And I was like overwhelmed with this sense of anger and righteousness. And I wanted to pull out the sword and the shield and go into battle. And then in that same instant, like not the same instant, probably about an hour into this emotion, I just felt my own thoughts stopping themselves and the waves of anger just like melting. And I was really surprised by that, because I know I could have just followed that, because it was big and it was bad and it affected many, many layers of our life, including our work. So I could have been like a big one that I could have carried for a long time. And now we have set some clear boundaries. We're not really interacting with her, but I don't have that anger inside of me, and that was different. It's like, okay, you're free to do that, and I'm free to protect myself. So I had the two experiences, coming out of this anger and stuff, and then also acting from a place of respect and care for both of us. So yeah, it's giving me a lot of gifts, a lot of gifts. But that understanding that it's emotional shift that comes from it was truly revealing to me. Yeah.